Sorry.
Well, and besides that, it's chugging along.
Welcome, everybody, to the second meeting of the Travel, Wildlife, and Recreation Cultural Resources Committee. I just want to remind everybody of the decorum that we use in our committee meetings. Always please address the chairman, and the bottom line is be nice or leave. That's basically it. So we will start by, I'm going to turn the meeting over to my vice chairman because this happens to be my bill. So I'll be going down there and.
Madam Chairman, do you want to take
Oh,
roll?
roll call. Yes, roll call would be great.
Representative Angelos? Excused. Representative Burkhart?
Here.
Representative Byron?
Here.
Representative Larson?
Here.
Representative Singh?
Here.
Representative Storer?
Excused.
Vice Chairman Western?
Here.
Representative Winter?
Yeah.
Chairwoman Newsom?
Here.
Thank you.
Bart, did you get Representative Storer on the attendance sheet? Okay, excellent. Chairwoman Newsom,
Thank you.
let's go ahead and start walking us through, or?
Okay,
Proceed.
I'm going to ask State Parks to come up
Of course, yeah.
and help
Absolutely.
me walk
Director
through
Glenn.
this bill. This is House Bill 67, as you recall from our interim work and from our work the other day on the House floor. What this bill does is it creates a governance structure for the already created Outdoor Recreation Trust Fund. The trust fund has been created and the money coming from tourism is already in the trust fund account. What this bill does is create an income account that we can then take the interest from that account, put it in the income account, and then start giving grants out for the for outdoor recreation projects around the state. So I'm going to ask Director Glenn to kind of walk us through the bill.
Director, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Patrick Harrington. He is our Outdoor Recreation Office Manager. He will be walking the bill, but I just wanted to say a couple of things really quick. Wyoming Outdoor Recreation Wyoming, $2.2 billion, 4.1% of the state's GDP, 5.6% of all state jobs are involved in outdoor recreation. This means manufacturing, sales, all those things are growing and more people are coming. I'm going to tell a very, very brief story. I was married for the first time 8 years ago, and I took my father-in-law fishing on the Green River to my secret spot. Took my wife over there, and we set up camp. We hopped in the drip
What was the
boat.
location of that secret spot?
And we're parked on the BLM, and there is nobody within a mile of us. And when we came back and came off the river, there were 14 camp trailers parked from here to that wall from our campsite. And I walked over to these folks. Every one of them had a green plate. And I walked over there and I said, this is really unethical. And you guys, what is going on? And they said, have you never camped in Colorado before? Those were their words. And this is what we are trying to avoid. We want to educate people on how to do it right. We want to disperse them to the communities that want them. And at times we want to concentrate them. And it allows us to manage this growth in ways that make sense to the people who live next to these areas. So with that, I would pass off to Patrick to walk the bill. Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chairwoman, please.
Vice Chairman Western, can I take a brief privilege?
Absolutely.
I would like to welcome the Camo in the Capitol crew. They come every year, and we're so glad to have you here. Thanks, Camo in the Capitol.
Thank you, sportsman. Mr. Harrington, please.
Mr. Vice
proceed.
Chairman, members of the committee, thanks for having us. Patrick Harrington, Manager of the Wyoming Office of Outdoor Recreation. You all should be intimately familiar with this bill, so I'll try to walk it somewhat quickly, but please do stop if there are any questions, if I can address anything further. Page 1 creates the bill and then lists the purposes. As we move on to page 2, this creates the board, defines it that the board membership must be a broad spectrum of outdoor recreation users across the state, including private landowners, sets the board as a 9-member board based on judicial districts, and creates 6-year terms for those board members. Page 3 addresses anyone needing to be removed from the board, defines the secretary of the board as the manager of the Office of Outdoor Recreation, and then sets the number of statutorily required meetings at 4 per year. Page 4 discusses the board's role, and that is essentially to evaluate applications, adopt rules and regulations, establish criteria for grants, establish criteria for matching funds, evaluate and rank grant proposals, and then that goes on to the next page to review and monitor grants to grantees, and evaluate the effects of grant proposals on providing recreation and tourism opportunities. It also deals with management of real property, transfers, gifts, bequests, and donations to this fund. And then another section brought in the interim here was to consider the benefits and impacts of grant proposals on local communities, including its socioeconomic, cultural, natural, and wildlife resources. Page 6 provides additional requirements for projects and what an applicant must do to access this fund, and then addresses any potential conflicts of interest. Page 7 establishes who the board will report to. This includes this body, Joint Travel Rec and Wildlife, the governor, Joint Appropriations Committee, the Select Natural Resource Funding Committee, as all required to report to. Page 8 discusses eligible organizations that can receive grant funds from the Outdoor Rec Tourism Trust Fund. It's not, it explains it's not for operations of organizations, and then requires the rules. And then it also lists the expectation of audit. Page 9 amends 28-1401, which broadens the oversight of the Select Natural Resource Funding Committee to oversee directly the Outdoor Rec Tourism Trust Fund. Page 10, additional oversight language for the Select Natural Resource Funding Committee. Page 11, we're getting into definitions. One place to park here. I know this group worked really hard on the broad definition, page 11, lines 14 through 20, but want to just make very clear, though they're not clearly listed, here that definition is sufficiently broad to include motorized uses, shooting sports development, and equestrian uses as well. Page 12, again, additional definitions here, and then we're starting to get between 12 and 13, pages 12 and 13, to additional language to the creation of the fund from the last session. Page 13, again, creates the income account. It allows for grant making, and then allows for that grant making to begin July 1 of 2026, or when the corpus of the account reaches $200 million. Page 14, additional rules for receiving funds. It prescribes the uses of for this fund, which is essentially going to be administration of the board. We would anticipate that being a very small percentage, largely infrastructure. Again, that was one of that definition earlier, and then access. Page 15 sets the large project threshold at $200,000, and then provides additional rules around access for projects. Page 16, additional rules for the use of the fund, including discussing removing any risk of kickbacks. And then also towards the bottom of page 16 is a $50,000 appropriation exclusively for use by the board, not by the Office of Outdoor Recreation. That's to fund the work of that board to meet and promulgate rules between now and that start date in 2026. Page 17 allows the legislature to split appropriations, $2 million to the income, $4 million to the corpus, beginning in the first biennium after the fund is active. Page 18 amends 2023 session law that created this appropriation with some conforming language. And page 19 has an effective start date of this legislation is July 1, 2024. I suppose a couple of things that are, if it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, to point out about this fund, some things we thought might be important for the committee to consider.
Mr. Harrington, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Again, this This bill creates the governance structure to get this fund out to communities in an equitable and transparent manner. I think it's really important to discuss the transparency in this fund. Built in the image of the Wyoming Wildlife Natural Resource Trust Fund is sort of our guiding light out there. But this does directly report in a very public process, and it is overseen by the public in a very public process, meaning that every project or every board meeting is a public meeting. And then again, there's that requirement for a report to all those committees I listed earlier. And with that, Mr. Vice Chair, I'd stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Harrington. Committee members, any questions for either Chairman Newsom or for the agency? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have an amendment. Oh,
Let's,
we need to move the bill.
yeah, I was about to say, let's hold off until we're actually got the bill moved and we can discuss the amendment. Are there any other state agencies in the room that want to testify? Not seeing any. All right, now, for all the folks who are in the, from the CAMO and the Capitol, the process when we do these committee meetings is obviously the person who is sponsoring the bill comes forward, they explain the bill, and then obviously the state agencies that bill would impact get the option to testify on their concerns about the bill or what have you. And then, of course, we turn it up to the general public. They're allowed to come forward and share their opinions. So with that, we're going to open up for public testimony, or excuse me, Representative Haraldson, my apologies. Legislators, then the public, please come forward.
Thank you, Vice Chair Western. So I wanted to kind of just have a conversation or discussion on this. Obviously, last year, we established this trust for this purpose, and we all know that the stripping of that framework came off the top. Now, the discussion here is obviously not about trusts, or we like trust or don't like trust. The reality is it is our duty as the legislature to manage the finances of this state. And so putting this in would definitely manage it. Now with that, I would definitely ask and would encourage, if at all possible, to keep this out of the general fund, which there is a $50,000 appropriation for that, using this fund to fund itself. The second aspect is allowing the staff to handle the administration of this without growing government and building more positions. And so definitely want to support this, want to see this go through to the end. I believe this is a huge part to stand against or to bolster up the onslaught that we will see to our great locations around the state. Obviously, Wyoming is a destination. We love that. And at the same time, if there's, I guess, 14 campers around your campsite, we don't love that. And so I think it's definitely a need. It's something that we want to see implemented, but I definitely would ask that we do it in a way that doesn't place more positions or grow government if we can do that. So definitely want to see this move forward, but move forward in a proper way and in a wise way. Thank you.
So Representative Haraldson, Chairwoman Newsom does have an amendment that diverts, instead of from the general fund, it's from, I believe, from the trust fund. So at least we can get that one buttoned up at the appropriate time. Committee members, any questions for Representative Haraldson? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, now the public. Anybody like to come forward and,
Mr. Chairman, I think after legislators, it might be legislator spouses come next in the priority.
Representative Burkhart, that's a new one for me, but sure, yeah, if they're in the room and feel so inclined.
I think she's declined, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Burkhart. Anybody from the public that wants to come forward and testify? Obviously, Ms. Johnson, we know who you are, but just please state your name and who you're with.
Jess Johnson, Government Affairs Director for the Wyoming Wildlife Federation, and I'll be very brief. I'm also up here in case any of the attendees would like to testify and would like a hand to hold. So I'm also up here for that, looking back at you guys. But we very much support this bill. We helped work it through the interim, and I know that originally, early on, we had some concerns that were very promptly addressed in this committee. So I'm up here to say thank you for the wildlife consulting that became a part of that over this last interim session. I'm also here to say thank you because, as we have stated a couple of times, I know this is backfilling some of the shortfalls of what the ARPA funds had without being able to be using them on shooting sports or things like that. I personally, I'm in Lander. We just started a new archery club and it's coming together, trying to think about how we get like a walk-through archery range and some places in that. And we are very excited for something like this to be out there because we can use it for exactly that. We're very excited for it. We're very supportive for it. And just thank you for your hard work. It's been a long time coming and I'm glad it's here.
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson. Does anybody, committee members, any questions for her? Seeing none, thank you very much. Is there anybody that's a member of Camo in the Capitol that would come forward? Again, just state your name and who you're with, please.
Chad Smith. There you go. Chad Smith, Camo at the Capitol. Madam Chairman and Representative Weston, I grew up in southwest Nebraska near Lake McConaughey, so I know exactly what it's like to be crowded and what you don't want, even though tourism is such a huge, factor in every aspect. And so obviously with what we learned today in the Camo at the Capitol session, in standing in support of this is very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Real quick, hang on. Committee members, any questions for Mr. Smith? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public that would like to testify? Obviously, we know who you are, but you know the protocol.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Chris Brown, representing the Wyoming Hospitality and Travel Coalition. Mr. Chairman, we testified throughout the entire interim in support of this bill, so I won't repeat most of that testimony. The only part I wish to repeat that I think is the biggest benefit of this bill to Wyoming is the flexibility. The fact that all 23 counties have the ability to apply for these grants for a community that wishes to grow their visitor economy some, that could build out recreation-related projects that do that. For communities that see a high volume of visitation and they need to speak to that and mitigate that, grants are available for that. Mr. Chairman, I moved to Wyoming more than 25 years ago for the outdoor recreation, and locals stand to benefit from this as well. And so we really feel like this is a win with every county being able to access it. And I want to be brief, so I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. Committee members, any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to testify? Or let's start, Ms. Kessler, let's start with you, and then, if that's okay, Mr. McNiven, you can be second up to bat.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Chairman and committee members, thank you. My name is Stephanie Kessler. I am here today representing the Wyoming Outdoor Recreation Business Alliance. We are a new statewide group that officially started this year, and our membership across the state is growing. Our mission is to be a balanced and unified voice for the industry, enhancing the business climate and economic impact of outdoor recreation in Wyoming. We very much support this bill. I'm not going to repeat what I think you've already heard, but I want to thank you for your work over the interim. I think you've worked hard to create a great bill. We fully support it because we believe this industry, in order to grow and to meet diverse needs across Wyoming, we need to have investments in infrastructure that will help communities design right-sized growth for themselves based on Wyoming's terms. I would have had more of my business members here with me today, but due to the unpredictable nature of this bill's path this week, I was not able to do that. I also have a statement here from Brad Tyndall, the president of Central Wyoming College, that he asked me to read. But due to limited time and all the other people that are here in person, what I'll do is I'll just send this on to you via email. But he just emphasizes that our community colleges are also very involved in outdoor recreation and helping to train a workforce and to build businesses and outdoor recreation around the state. But I'll send you the statement that he sent on to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kessler. You're also welcome to leave it with Barb and she can forward it to us as well. Committee members, any questions?
And I forgot to mention, I have brochures here, if you'd like to pick up a actual copy.
Absolutely. Representative Burkhart.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chairman. So, Ms. Kessler, do you happen to have any idea, and I would ask the community colleges if any of them were here, because I know a number of them have programs in outdoor recreation, outdoor management, tourism management, that sort of thing. How many of those students stay in Wyoming? If you have those, and I don't expect that you would have them off the top of your head.
I do
You brought
not.
the issue up and I thought I'd ask.
I do not have those. I can tell you as a resident of Fremont County, I encounter many of those students that stay on in my town. But that's a great question, and I'll pass that back to the president.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Burkhart. Seeing no further questions, thank you very much, Ms. Kessler. Mr. McNiven, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Travis McNevin here on behalf of the Northern Apple Business Council. Just to very briefly piggyback off of the comments made by Mr. Brown regarding the 23 counties, the two tribes, Northern Apple, Eastern Shawnee, are also included in the legislation, and we are very much appreciative of that inclusion. To be part of this, as you all know, the reservation has a tremendous landscape there in central Wyoming, Fremont County, on the Wind River Mountains, and recreation and tourism is certainly a large part of that area. And for the tribes as people travel to and from Yellowstone and other places there in Wyoming. And so, thank you for that inclusion in the bill. And stand certainly support the efforts of this committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. McNiven. Any committee members, any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Any other members of the public? Again, please just state your name and who you're with if you wouldn't mind.
So my name is Mike Jones.
Go hit the green button right there in front of you.
Green.
Yep, it's right there at the
Of course.
bottom.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Chair and representatives, my name is Mike Jones, Fremont County Commissioner. I also come on behalf of Jeremiah Riemann and the Wyoming County Commissioners Association. I'm happy to say that this morning we voted to support this bill wholeheartedly. And I can tell you from personally that I've been involved in outdoor rec and watched the development of these collaboratives and the grant programs that we did during ARPA. And it just opens up so many opportunities for us to continue to manage outdoor recreation responsibly. And so I appreciate your work, and that's all I have to say. I'll stand for questions.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. I certainly know through the process of crafting this bill was to really work with local government entities, and counties are a huge part of that. So we acknowledge that and appreciate that. Community members, any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much, Commissioner. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Obviously, we know who you are, but you know protocol.
Era Arano, Wyoming Outdoor Council, and just like we appeared before you this summer, I'll speak on my behalf, but at the Wyoming Outdoor Council, we appreciate your work in including wildlife protections and recognizing considerations, and recognizing that there can be an impact of outdoor recreation on wildlife, and we and the Wyoming Outdoor Council support outdoor recreation and want it to be done well. Thank you.
Mike Cusick, Wyoming Pathways. Again, thank you. I would point out that in one survey we've looked at, over 40 municipalities in Wyoming have asked for amenities like these. So the need is high, and this bill gets it done the right way, the Wyoming way, managing it how we want it managed for folks who are coming here anyway. So full support of the bill. Stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cusick. Ms. Aronow. Committee members, any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for all your support. Anybody else from the public that would like to testify? Please do come forward.
Vice Chair Western, members of the committee, I'm coming here before you today.
Would you mind state your name real quick?
Oh, my name is Alex Aguirre, and I'm coming before you as a Powell, Wyoming native, but also as a first graduate of the first Outdoor Rec and Tourism Management degree program in the University of Wyoming. So as Steph Kessler mentioned, I'm one of those guys that did outdoor rec in the state, and I'm here. I'm right now representing the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership. And we just want to let you know that we support this bill. As stated, we want to get ahead of increasing use, and we think this is a good way to do it. You know, we want to build the infrastructure before the use, before it becomes a problem, you know. We also appreciate that wildlife's considered in this bill, and that this also works on public access easements, as we support public access in the state of Wyoming. So I also wanted to speak on behalf of equestrians. I own one horse right now. I was up to a couple, but they're expensive. And a lot of these denied projects were equestrian projects, and I can tell you firsthand that it's really nice to have trailheads with corrals and horse facilities. And I think it makes it better for all users of public land when the horse people have the right amenities and can stay out of everyone's way. So with that, I thank you for your time, and I stand for any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gary. As you were saying that, there's a lot of nodding heads behind you, so we've got some consensus here. Any questions for Mr. Gary? Seeing none, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anybody else? Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Senator Schuler from the other side of the hall. Also a co-chairman with the good chairman there from Newsom. And I think you all know how I feel about the bill. And so I won't pontificate, but I just want to let you folks know that I think maybe this side of the house is getting things done in a better fashion. We kind of got slogged in mud over on the other side. And so I have great hope that maybe your committee, with the help of a number of people, and that's really what I wanted to talk about, is I'm not sure that everybody that worked so hard on this bill, besides our committee, our joint committee, that we really thanked. And I would really like to thank Mr. Budd from the Wildlife Trust Fund. He was amazing in helping us, get this governance up and running. Diane Schober, I know she's in the room. And of course, our Director Glenn and all of, and Mr. Harrington as well as all of the nonprofits and the other folks in the room that have testified that, without all of their support, I don't think maybe we feel sometimes that we have, the means to get our fellow legislators on board with some of these things. And when we can see our county commissioners on board and a number of other people besides, the government entities, saying how important this is for their communities and finding, proposals, I think we'll be overwhelmed with proposals from communities. And, as someone mentioned earlier, I think it was Director Glenn, how important and the amount of money that we are, presently, I think it's over 2 billion bringing into the state because of tourism. I don't think it was just COVID, but I think folks really, really found Wyoming if they hadn't before. And so anything we can do to enhance our recreation and tourism facilities is great. So I wish you luck, and just wanted to make a real quick, and I think Senator Jones is here too, and I can't speak for her, but I think our Senate committee really is, I'm not going to speak for them, but I think they did a really good job of trying to work the bill as well. So good luck.
Thank you, Senator. Any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Anyone else who'd like to testify? Members from the public? Anyone? Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and close public testimony. Committee members, what's your pleasure? Bill's been moved by Larson. Is there a second? We'll go with Representative Byron, or Representative Storer? We'll do Representative Storer. Okay. So moved and seconded. Committee, any discussion? Barb, was there anybody on Zoom? Okay. Good catch. All right, let's work the bill. So for our Camo and the Capitol folks, once we close public testimony, this is the committee's time to kind of have that deliberative period to voice concerns and kind of just have that back and forth discussion and debate about what we like about the bill, how we can improve it, amendments to do so. So that's kind of what's going on right now. So I know we've got some amendments, but just in case, we'll just kind of breeze through this. Any amendments on page, we'll start with page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9, page 10, page 11, page 12, page 13, page 14, page 15, page 16. Representative Larson.
I would like to move the amendment as presented from Representative or Chairwoman Newsom. This is on page 16, line 17, strike appropriated and replace with authorized. Line 16, page 16, line 18, strike general fund and replace with outdoor rec trust fund. And then on page 17, we will insert on line 3 to the trust account between revert and as, and then strike the final sentence in starting on line 4 through line 8.
Does everyone understand the amendment? Oh, it's been moved. Is there a second? Seconded by Representative Singh. Any further discussion on the amendment? Representative Byron.
Thank you. Representative Western, if anyone has tracked what Director Budd and the WWNRT has done, it's pretty impressive work. Millions and millions of dollars that have gone back into the Wyoming's rangelands, counties, rivers, wildlife. And I'm pretty excited this bill is eventually going to do the very same thing. I will say, Mr. Co-Chair, that although I reluctantly support this amendment to help this bill through, it does frustrate me that we are taking $50,000 out of the account that would be available for the projects in these very communities that we are hearing testimony about. So I just wanted to note that, but I will stand in favor of this amendment.
Thank you, Representative Byron. I think it's a valid concern. I can appreciate that. The good news is if they don't end up using all of it, it just reverts right back into the trust. It was seconded, correct. We're in discussion. Is there any further comments or discussion on the amendment? All those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. That amendment is adopted. We are back in the bill. So any further discussions or amendments on page 17, page 18, and 19? Well, with no further discussion, the question being called, Barb, will you please call the roll?
Representative Angelo? Representative Burkhart?
Aye.
Representative Byron?
Aye.
Representative Larson?
Aye.
Representative Singh?
Aye.
Representative Storer? Vice Chairman Western? Representative Winter? Chairwoman Newsom? Thank you. 8 ayes, 1 excused.
Chairwoman Newsom, do you want to resume the dais? So Kim, on the Capitol folks, that's why we have a vice chair, is in the event that there's an absence or if the chairwoman has to present a bill, someone still has to run the committee deliberation. So that's where I'm fortunate enough to step in. I guess with no further discussion, we are adjourned. Thank you so much for coming.